Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're cracking open a strategy for raising some serious capital, and I mean millions. This is all based on the work of consultant Derek Whitehead. He basically argues that most of us are out here playing checkers, but the real money, well, that's in a game of chess that the banks really understand. So let's get into the rules of that game.
You know, this right here gets to the heart of the entire philosophy. According to Whitehead, real wealth isn't about having a ton of cash to go spend on flashy stuff. No, it's about how you structure your assets. It's about mastering the art of raising capital, basically turning paper into power. So it's less about what you own and way more about what you can control.
Okay, so Whitehead breaks down finance into 3 levels, and he pretty much dismisses all the typical credit-building advice you see online as, and this is his phrase, baby stuff. We're talking about those little strategies that might get you a few $1,000s on a credit card, but that's not the game he's playing. He's focused on millions.
Right, so let's be clear. This is not about stacking a few personal credit cards. This is about building a vehicle that's designed from the ground up to attract serious capital. We're going to walk through the advanced levels he talks about, and it all starts with the foundation of his entire system.
The very first move in this high-stakes game, it has absolutely nothing to do with your personal credit score. It's all about creating the perfect corporate entity. Think of it as creating a player, a person in the eyes of the law, that is specifically engineered to get the bank's thumbs up, to get their confidence.
So why a C Corp instead of an LLC? Well, it really comes down to psychology. Whitehead argues that the name limited liability company literally has red flags in it for lenders, limited and liability. A C Corp, on the other hand, is known as a special purpose entity. You can think of it like a vehicle designed for one core job, attracting and managing money. And, crucially, it has shares. And shares are the key to bringing in outside capital.
Now, to avoid looking like a total rookie, this corporation needs all the right data points to signal that it's stable. This means you buy an aged corporation, one that's already several years old. Why? Because that history suggests it's not some fly-by-night operation. You add a real office address, a landline phone, and at least 3 officers. Even the name has to be super general, and its industry code, the SIC code, should be something safe that banks love, like consulting. It's all about building a profile that just screams low risk.
So, once you've built that perfect corporate player, it's time for level 2, using it to raise some serious money. And according to Whitehead, this whole next step kicks off with a tool that's surprisingly cheap.
Yep, that's the number he throws out. For about $125, he says you can buy what's called a corporate kit online, and inside this simple box is supposedly the key to unlocking millions in fundraising. It lets you move way beyond just getting traditional bank loans.
The secret sauce is what's inside that kit: stock certificates. Now, these are not just pieces of paper. They actually represent ownership in your shiny, valuable C Corp. They are the exact instruments you're going to use to bring in investors and raise cash, all without the company taking on a single dollar of debt.
Okay, so here's the playbook he lays out. You've got your valuable C Corp, check. Next, you create a pitch deck. And he's super clear. It's not a business plan. It's a sleek presentation for investors. Then you use those stock certificates to offer up equity. The money that flows in from investors, that's capital, not a loan. You can then use this debt-free cash to pay off any early loans and go fund your much bigger ventures.
And that brings us to the final level we're going to cover, what Whitehead calls the absolute highest level of finance. It's not about creating a business that sells a product or a service. It's about the business of buying and leveraging debt itself.
This is the big question for level 3. How do you do that? Well, the strategy is all based on getting your hands on non-performing debt. Loans that people have just stopped paying for pennies on the dollar, and then turning that bad paper into a super valuable asset.
So what in the world is a non-performing note? Simple. It's any loan, could be a credit card, could be a mortgage, that's gone into default. Now, banks are legally required to manage the risk on their books, so they are highly motivated to sell off this toxic debt at a massive discount just to get it gone. And this, he says, creates a gigantic opportunity.
Okay, let's trace this whole pipeline. First, you buy a portfolio of debt, let's say $1 million worth, for almost nothing. Then, you actually work with the borrowers to restructure that debt into smaller payments they can actually handle. Now, here's the magic. Once they've made consistent payments for about 6 months, that bad debt legally transforms into a performing note. It's now a valuable asset. You can then take that asset to a bank and borrow against it for up to 75% of its original face value. Wild, right?
So what does this all add up to? I mean, beyond all the specific tactics, this whole strategy is really built on a fundamental shift in how you think. It's about moving away from the conventional way we're all taught to think about work and money.
This chart just gets to the core difference in mindset. A worker thinks, okay, I do business to get money. But the capitalist, as he frames it, thinks, no, I get money to do business. See the difference? The engine driving everything isn't your own labor, it's other people's money, or OPM, raised through that exact corporate structure we just talked about.
And here you can really see the different universes of finance we're living in. Low finance is the world of personal credit cards. Mid finance is where you're getting business loans, but you have to personally guarantee them. But high finance, that's the level he's talking about. Raising funds through a C Corp, where the scale just jumps into the tens, even hundreds of millions.
This quote just nails the shift in identity that's required. You're no longer just a restaurant owner who needs money. Your primary business is acquiring capital. The restaurant is just what you decide to do with that capital.
And that's really the powerful, provocative question this whole idea leaves us with. It challenges the entire definition of wealth, shifting it away from just simple ownership and more toward the strategic ability to attract, structure, and deploy capital. A really fascinating way to look at the world of finance.